Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger, once again. Welcome to another movies multi-genre month. This is an action thriller directed by John Eric Dowdle. It's from 2015. It's pretty intense and it's definitely relevant to of the events that are happening in today's world. It stars Owen Wilson, yeah, the guy that was in recently in Loki on Disney Plus. And it also has Pierce Brosnan and Lake Bell, who does a good job in this movie. I know some people are going to say she's not a great actress, but I will take her any day over a British actress any day. And that is the movie, one of the most intense films I saw on Netflix this year, No Escape. And damn, that title fits the freaking thing. This movie is really, really intense, man. The whole time, my heart was in my throat. Some people are gonna say it's dull, like the critics are like, "Oh, this movie is just very predictable, and you know what's gonna happen." No, there's tension in this movie. If you don't feel that tension, especially after living through this whole freaking decade so far with COVID, yeah, you don't have a pulse. It tells the story of an expat engineer trapped with his family in an unidentified country in Southeast Asia during a violent uprising. Again, because they blame the Americans for this is like the Asian hate in reverse. The Asians are blaming the Americans for what happened to the water supply there. Again, like the racial tension we have now with the Asians with China. The film costs only $5 million. See, you don't need to spend $185 million, DC or Marvel or any company. You don't need to spend $200 million or over $100 million for a movie to look good. This movie looks great. For $5 million, it does not look like a cheap production. There's a lot of blood in this movie. This is, if you have a date, I would just suggest not showing her this if you're dating a woman, because if they see all this blood and grisly violence and the family running for their lives and the girls get thrown off a building in this movie. Yeah, it's not for everyone. For people that can't take intense violence and violence towards women, it's not that much. It's more like they attempt rape, but no, she gets out because they're not going to show a rape scene in a movie like this. And two daughters thrown off a building so they can survive because the whole movie, Owen Wilson gets caught up in the gunfire with the Asians, and they're just running for their lives, like jumping off buildings and going through the town to try hide wearing masks. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, I can see why this movie's on Netflix. I think it's still there. It's on Pluto TV as well, so you can watch it for free. It is intense, man. 103 minutes, under 2 hours long. I did not feel the running time. Even the talking scenes when there's nothing happening. As soon as the bombs and the freaking explosions and the gunfire happens, yeah, the movie is gonna kick into high gear, and it's just my pulse is racing. The movie made $54 million on a budget of five, not 500, five. That's like 100 times its budget in process. This movie made more than the Suicide Squad. You know why? Because it's cheaper and the acting's better and it doesn't have a bunch of bad CGI in it. Also, it's very, very dark. It's not a comedy. It's not trying to be funny, and the violence here is justified and it's very intensive today, and it's very relevant to what's happening today. It was produced by the Weinstein Company. I know the asshole that made that assaulted women in Hollywood, but this movie is not a comedy. Dude, there's nothing funny. I don't think I laughed once, which is good because there's a scene at the end where Pierce Brosnan tries to stop a truck, to sacrifice himself for the family because the family's on edge the entire time. I mean, they can't change their clothes. They can't take a shower. They have to run. They have to hide in like a hole. Like, one of the Asians doesn't know what they're saying, but they say like, "Come in. We're gonna take you in." And yeah, it's just this movie is just scary, man. Especially with the world we live in today, where you know the blame game is going on. Yeah, and the thing is, I cared about these characters. You know why I didn't see the Suicide Squad or Jungle Cruise? I don't care about the characters that they added. At least I don't think so. And the film, yeah, like I said, it's very violent. Do not show a kid this movie. They'll be traumatized. They may not ever want to look at an Asian country ever again. They'll just get chills. If you're sensitive to violence, don't watch this movie. I'm not, because I've seen Deadpool, I've seen Extraction, I've seen Terminator 1 and 2 when I was a kid, Robocop. I can take violence. Senseless violence is stupid, though. When you have to put violence in a movie just so that you can be different from the movie that preceded you. This movie is way more violent than Suicide Squad. I guarantee it. That's a bunch of CGI blood and getting people getting ripped in half with a CG effect. There is no CG in this movie. It's mostly practical in real locations. There's a scene at the end where they have to go to Vietnam and they seek refuge there so they don't get attacked. It's like, if you don't let these people go, it will consider it an act of war and will fire. And yeah, the Asians are not fucking around in this movie. They are as intense as they've ever been. And it's not China, it's in Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, Philippines, something like that. They didn't specify it because they didn't want people to go, absolutely crazy. They're like, oh, this movie's so racist. Look at what the critics say. No Escape's talented cast and top B movie thrills, unfortunately offset by its one-dimensional characters and uncomfortable retrograde worldview. This is a freaking movie, not a documentary on what's happening in Afghanistan right now or what happened with COVID with China. This is a real movie with no political bullshit. It's what happens with China, with the Asians blaming the Americans companies for poisoning their water supply, and I get it. I get the racial tension. I know where they're coming from. As a person of color, I know exactly what it's like to have prejudice or to be prejudiced. See, the water systems, yeah. After the representative leads a group of armed rebels initiate a coup d'etat. What is that French? What does that mean? Blow of state, yeah. And they just rebel, yeah. And assassinate the prime minister, yeah. And once that happens, once the prime minister dies, the movie just goes really, really crazy. There is one scene that's kind of light where not Hugh Jackman, Pierce Brosnan is feeding them. I think it's a dog, but he says it's chicken or something. I'm like, he lies to them, but they're starving. They've been running for hours without eating anything. That would make me winded, and they haven't changed their clothes or anything. It's not like they're in a hotel trying to run away from. They're on the run the entire time. If they did a Marvel movie like this, I will say this right now. I know everybody's going to give me like 100 thumbs down. I don't care. This is what Black Widow should have been. Not an R rating, but a more tense movie. Every time Natasha's running from something in that movie, I wasn't scared. I knew she was never in any danger because she's going to die in Endgame. So it's predictable. Here, you don't know who's going to die and who's going to live. It's insane. There's a bunch of people that are white that are on top of a building. They get blown to hell. Oh, this is so racist. Again, if it was any race, Asian, Middle Eastern, Black, Spanish, freaking German, no matter what it is, there's ugliness in this world, people. Wake up. Wake up. This is the real world. The real world is reflected in the films we watch. You think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a joke every 5 minutes? No. It reflects real world issues without preaching. Here, some people will say it's uncomfortable. I get it. You overly sensitive people, I get it, all right? But I'm not overly sensitive because I sat through this movie the whole way through and it was entertaining because it grabbed me by the balls and said, "No, we're gonna go on a thrill ride." Is it entertaining to watch? Hell yeah, because Owen Wilson finds strength to fight for his family to stay alive. If he was some pussy like freaking Amber or Yelena, he would have gotten killed in 5 minutes. Moral consideration again. Hello, critics. It's a movie. This is not real, but it feels real. What's more realistic? A bunch of Asians attacking white people, or a bunch of freaking cars flying into space, or jumping off a freaking bridge with no gravity? Again, what's more realistic, that or this? This is more relevant to what's happened in the past 2 years, and it's not China. So don't say I'm racist, guys. This movie is possible controversy. It's a freaking movie. After trailers for the film were released, a social uproar occurred in Cambodia over the use of upside down Khmer lettering. That's stupid. I don't really care about that because I watch a movie to be entertained. I don't care how fucked up it is. As long as it's not pedophilia or like, cuties or sexual assault on women like After or 365 days, I can take it. I can take violence, people getting shot down. I can take it, guys. I can take it. This is a better movie than Gunpowder Milkshake because it's not comedic. When people die in this movie, it's not a joke. It's insanely realistic, just like Extraction was. Every time they do a movie like this, they say it's racist. Really. And Glory Road is not, and they say the N word and they use racial slurs for the whole movie, and that's a freaking Disney movie. Yeah, people are too sensitive. People are just freaking way too sensitive now. They're like, this movie borderlines on xenophobia. Again, movie. People said that about the last Rambo movie, the last two Rambo movies. In the fourth one, he's killing all these Burmese guys with a freaking machete and blowing them to hell with a what was it called a 40 caliber machine automatic gun, and nobody was complaining. And yet the same thing they said, oh, Rambo: The Last Blood is racist. It's a freaking movie, guys. I feel more racism when it feels like they're attacking a certain group of people on purpose. Everything that Disney's done, the freaking blackish and mixedish and all that, that's racist. Okay, that's more racist than a bunch of Asians being upset at something. It's justified because again, if they ruined the water supply, who are they going to blame? Just saying, guys. This movie's not xenophobic. Look at this. No escape as offensive and concluded. Just like the Dwyer family, I would find myself looking for escape. Again, it says that he concluded it was one of the most unpleasant films of the year. It's not going to be for everyone. And I know that, but I'm not everyone. I'm the same guy that loved this movie right here. You know why? Because I can take the crazy. I want to be entertained. I don't want a movie to be. I know exactly what's going to happen from the moment the movie starts until the moment the movie's over. Do they survive? Yeah, but it's intense. This and movies like The Hunt have balls. They're not going to be predictable. And they're like, oh, that movie's too political. It should have been that the woman is an SJW. She should have been fighting for womanhood. Why? It's a freaking movie. It's not a freaking documentary. You want to do something realistic? Go do a documentary, a real documentary. If you want to be entertaining and not artsy fartsy, this is your kind of film. But if you're easily offended, you're not going to watch it. I know it. But I would recommend it if you can stomach the violence and the dark tone and the good acting, because Owen Wilson is good in this movie. I buy him and Lake Bella's a married couple with these two kids. I buy it. Nobody was complaining about this in Room, saying, "Oh, it deflowers a woman because she's captured by a man." It's a freaking movie. Hear me, movie, not real movie. Film, picture, not fictional, not real people. Get over yourselves. Don't they do a disclaimer at the end of every film when you get to the end credits? It says the events of this are circumstantial or coincidental and are not fictionist. They're not real. Just saying, guys. I don't know why people just get offended. They get offended by everything. Oh, this is too woke. This guy's a rapist. This is too offensive. This is too violent. This is too and yet the Suicide Squad didn't get boycotted. It's still in theaters and it's still not doing well. This movie did well. When did it come out? In August, or about 6 years ago. I would have seen this in the theater because guess what? I'm watching a movie, not a cartoon, not a freaking CGI fest, not a documentary, not a freaking movie that that defies gravity and freaking throws logic out the freaking window. And this one, simple logic. You need to survive. Got to keep running. It's a cat and mouse game, but done in a more intense physical sort of way. The only one I will say could go to hell is Harvey Weinstein because he produced this, but he's one of the distributors. But other than that, the rest of the movie it's intense. If you want to feel something in your stomach this summer and you're tired of these predictable lame ass duck movies that Netflix has been pumping out this year, or some of the Disney Plus stuff that that you don't want to pay $30 for, this is a movie that you can see. But I would say just watch it alone because if you watch it with somebody that it might scar them, if especially if they're sensitive to strong violence. It didn't bother me though. It's also on Amazon Prime as well, yeah, and Pluto TV. It's on iTunes, YouTube, and it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's there anymore. But if you do watch this film, don't complain to me saying, "Oh, I thought it was too violent and mean spirited." Again, film, guys, it's subjective. All films are subjective. Even movies that got praise this year, like Luca, nobody said that was racist. Or what about To All the Boys, an Asian dating a white guy? There's nothing racist about that. I'm more open minded than you think. Don't let the crazy, fanatic hyperactivity that I have fool you. I can be open minded. And this movie's entertaining. Owen Wilson, who thought Owen Wilson as an action star? It kind of worked here because in freaking Loki, he's one of the best things in that show, but he doesn't have much to do in it because it's like 85 characters I don't care about. Here, I care about him and his wife and the freaking their survival with their kids. It's interesting to me. Just saying. But anyway, that's my non-biased review for No Escape. Is it flawed? Yes. Like I said, we've seen this kind of movie done before. Better, but this is a lot better than what it came out this year. It didn't bore me to tears like Outside the Rim. It wasn't a bore fest. It wasn't the worst thing ever like freaking Vanquish. It didn't have shitty CGI like a Ape versus Monster. Just saying, guys. And it's short. It's only less than 2 hours, so you can get through this. If you can't stomach it, I understand. But if you can handle it, if you saw the Suicide Squad and can handle that violence, you can handle this. This is a cakewalk in comparison, but this looks way more realistic. People are like, oh, this is so xenophobic. And every movie has some xenophobia in it of some kind that people are just not looking at. But movies like this. But anyway, it's all up to perspective. If it's for you, watch it. If it's not, skip it because I don't know what else to say, guys. They're movies. They're not real. Stop taking things so personally. Oh, Rebecca tried to sue Tom Cruise in the movie. It's a freaking movie. It's not real. It isn't real. She wasn't going out of her way to kill Tom Cruise on real in real set. If she did, she would have gotten arrested and be in prison right now, right next to Weinstein, Bill Cosby, and all these other schmucks that actually did commit a crime. Yeah, it's a movie. Get over it. Get the fuck over it. Everybody needs to move on. In 2022, I want to see movies, not freaking documentaries or cartoons that have nothing to that have nothing to do with reality whatsoever. You know what I mean? Fast Nine and all that. No, I can only go so far. If I want to watch a cartoon, I got this. And I have movies like this that do not pull punches. This is an R-rated movie, not PG-13. So there's a lot of F-bombs, a lot of blood, a lot of intensity. No nudity, which is great because I don't need it in this movie, and no jokes because it doesn't need to be funny. Not everything needs to be a har comedy because sometimes movies need to be taken seriously and other times not. Case in point. But anyway, that's my review for No Escape. I couldn't escape the freaking the intensity of this film after what I've been through for over a year and a half. We all been through it, guys. Stop acting like you're the only victims. Everybody that was old enough to talk and went through COVID the past 2 years. In December, it'll be 2 years since it happened over there in Asia. Here, I'm still alive and I'm still doing reviews for you guys. I'm not quitting. One bad thing in a movie doesn't ruin the whole movie. Yelena destroyed an entire film for me. That was bad. That was like the worst thing that they could have done. And it was from Marvel. I trusted them. Hopefully, I get my trust back from them when I see Shang-Chi in 2 weeks. And I'm going to go see it. I'm going to be vaccinated in 2 weeks. I will be free of this. And I have no more fear inside of me because life can always be worse. Trust me. Anyway, that's enough for me. See you guys in the next one.